It's March 13th, 2004. With more than 1 billion people watching at home and even more around the world, Sachin Tendulkar and Virender Sehwag, two of India's greatest ever batters, are walking to the crease. When people think of devastating opening batters, these two are often in the conversation. Sachin, when it's all said and done, would score over 18,000 ODI runs, and Virender with over 8,000 himself. But when they came together, they formed one of the most devastating opening partnerships the world has ever known. Here, today, they were a vanguard for their nation, setting off on an Indian quest in a place where no Indian team had ever tasted series victory before. We are in Karachi. It's India versus Pakistan, in Pakistan. This rivalry, India versus Pakistan, is inarguably one of cricket's greatest rivalries. And like many great rivalries, this one has its origins outside of the sport. Up until 1947, these two nations made up a significant part of the British Empire. With an event known as the Partition, this changed, and they became Pakistan and India respectively. With it, it wasn't just arbitrary drawing of lines on a map. It brought forth this idea that nationality, or belonging to a nation, could be tied to a religion that a person followed. It was an idea that would take hold throughout the region. Despite people living in their ancestral homelands for generations, many would leave with the belief that the only way for them to feel truly safe is for them to migrate across this new border, often with only what they could carry in their hands, towards people who also followed that same religion. They did so both ways in the millions of people, braving the risk of communal violence and death in the process, to which there were many, all in the unknown hope of making a new life for themselves and their future generations in a new land. The scars of this event and the violence that occurred is remembered deeply to this day by both countries. Since the origins of their countries, these two nations have had a fierce geopolitical rivalry. Wars have been fought between them over territory, not only the Kashmir conflict, which remains unresolved to this day, but in 1971 in East Pakistan, or as it is now known, Bangladesh. To be fair, this is a cricket story and not really the place to go into detail much further on this topic. But what I would say is that a relationship of disagreement and animosity has materialised between the two states, over religious beliefs, over territory, over domestic and foreign affairs. But even with these little brief details, you can see how a rivalry that is played out on that high level can seep its way into its people and into a sport that both teams play. Cricket.
Down the wicket he goes, he's hit that high, it's gone all the way, what a hit, way over the top.
Just 5 years after these two nations were formed, they played their first test match against each other in 1952, which also happened to be Pakistan's first ever test match. Abdul Qadir, the father of Pakistani cricket, led out a team including Hanif Mohammed and Faisal Mahmood on the Firozshah Kotla Stadium in Delhi, against an Indian team led by Lala Amarnath, Vijay Hazare and Vinu Mankad. India would win by an innings and 70 runs, only to lose by an innings and 43 in the second test in Lucknow. India taking the series 2-1 with a 10-wicket win at the Brabant Stadium in Mumbai, or Bombay as it was known back then. As time has progressed, these two teams have played each other on many occasions, but not regularly, by any means. In fact, if we focus just on bilateral tours, from the first series we spoke of in 1952-53 up to 1978-79, these two nations had only played 4 series between each other. And almost not wanting to concede an inch to their rival, 2 of the 4 test series played in that time were draws. And I'm not talking about a 5-test series which ends 2-2. No, I'm talking about 2 5-test series with 5 draws in both. It took until 1978-79 where Pakistan would finally get a series victory against India. That Indian team that toured Pakistan was star-studded. It was led by Bishan Singh Bedi and included the likes of Sunil Gavaskar, Kapil Dev, Gundappa Vishwanath, 2 of the Amarnath brothers, and the other 3 spin bowlers that made up India's vaunted spin quartet of the time: Irupalli Prasanna, Bhagavath Chandrasekhar, and Srinivas Venkataraghavan. That quartet, of course, led by Captain Bishan Singh Bedi himself.
Down the wicket he comes and he's out, caught and bowled by Bedi.
The late 70s throughout the 80s would see these two teams play much more frequently, almost annually, and it also coincided with the explosion of the one-day format. This format would be the one that Pakistan, at least bilaterally, would dominate in this rivalry. Their first ODI series win would occur during that same 78-79 series that we just spoke about. And of the next 5 ODI bilateral series between them, Pakistan would win 4, including one in India. While a change of venue would see India win the 1997 series held in Canada, Pakistan would take the next 3 in the same decade, which then leads us to the turn of the millennium. On the 13th of December 2001, 5 assailants broke through the security perimeter of India's Parliament building in Delhi, on a day where both houses of Parliament were in session. Opening fire on security personnel, all 5 were killed before completing their objective. These 5 people were linked to a terrorist organisation that aims to merge Kashmir in its entirety with Pakistan. The incident would inflame tensions between the two nations, resulting in the 2001-2002 India-Pakistan standoff, or as it's known in India, Operation Parakram. The Indian government demanded Pakistan apprehend the leaders of certain terrorist organisations allegedly responsible for the attack, while stopping their activities in Pakistan and their access to financial assets. They did so while also beginning to mobilise hundreds of thousands of troops to the India-Pakistan border. This mobilisation lasted nearly 6 months and only stopped after Pakistani President Pervez Musharraf denounced the attack as terrorism and pledged to ban such groups from operating in Pakistan, amongst other reforms. A ceasefire was finally signed in November 2003. In the wake of a very serious terrorist attack and the response which put both proud nations on a war footing, 2 months later, something both surprising and salivating was announced by the President of India's BCCI. He confirmed that after a break of 15 years, India were planning to tour Pakistan and that they were talking to the Pakistan Cricket Board about it. Now, we know that it's one thing for the tour to be announced and another for it to happen, especially between India and Pakistan. There was still huge security and logistical concerns that needed to be sorted out before it could go ahead. Not to mention that decision makers on either side could change their minds at the last minute and everything would be off. But as the weeks went by, things began to line up in place. Security concerns were eased when an Indian delegation gave the all clear for the tour after they visited and viewed the security arrangements in Pakistan. On confirmation of this, the Indian government gave their no objection for it to go ahead. India's latest attempt to create history, winning an ODI series in Pakistan for the first time ever, was now confirmed. Let's get ourselves up to speed at where these two teams were at going into this series. India had beaten Pakistan in the 2003 World Cup group stage in South Africa. Although they would lose in the final to Australia, what they had was a strong batting lineup that just oozed class. Tendulkar, Sehwag, Ganguly, Dravid and Yuvraj Singh with VVS Lakshman waiting in the wings. While their bowling lineup arguably wasn't up to the same level, it still featured Zahir Khan, Lakshmipati Balaji, Ashish Nehra and a young, firing Irfan Pathan. In Pakistan, a pace attack would be vitally important. Just as India seemed to be getting into a window where everyone was firing on all cylinders, Pakistan may have just seen theirs go past. 3 of their all-time greatest players had retired after that World Cup, where they were knocked out in the pool stage. Wasim Akram, Waqar Younis and Saeed Anwar. It wasn't just the productivity that Pakistan would lose with these retirements, but what they meant to the side itself. Saeed Anwar had scored nearly 9,000 ODI runs in his career, and he was arguably the best batter in the team. But losing Wasim and Waqar at the same time? Wow, that's even worse. 2 of the best bowlers in cricket history, both former captains of the side, 900 ODI wickets between them. Masters of swing and seam, not to mention reverse swing. It's almost an impossible hole to fill. But never rule out Pakistan's ability to find new talent. While these players were gone, a formidable middle order remained of Yusuf Yahana, also known as Muhammad Yusuf nowadays, Yunus Khan and Abdul Razak, underpinned by captain Inzamam-ul-Haq.
Gone over the top, first ball that is faced.
They might have lost Wasim and Waqar, but a certain Rawalpindi Express, Shoaib Akhtar, was the spearhead of this attack now, one of the fastest bowlers in cricket history. And let's not forget Shahid Afridi, a match winner on his day with ball and bat. Defending their country, like cornered tigers on home soil, is motivation enough for these players to give their all. On that day in March 2004, as Sehwag and Tendulkar walked to the crease, the latest chapter of this storied rivalry was about to begin, showing why this is nothing but must-see cricket. Shoaib Akhtar bowled a wayward but eventful first over. He conceded 5 extras and a boundary to Tendulkar, but almost got Sehwag out with his last ball, had the catch been held. His second over brought just as much drama. Tendulkar caught it square leg, but offered no ball. Sachin would take on Akhtar's bouncer, top edging it for 6.
It's gone, and yes, 6.
India's openers feasted on wayward deliveries early on, while the extras continued to mount. 10 already in the first 5 overs, as the Karachi crowd witnessed boundaries on both sides of the wicket. Akhtar would eventually get Sachin out though. At the end of the 9th over, it was 1 for 69. Inzamam rung in the changes with his bowlers and Rana Naveed-ul-Hassan was next in line. But the extras problem only got worse. Rana's first over took 11 deliveries, conceding 24 runs, with 3 boundaries off no balls, 2 additional no balls, and a powerful off drive for 4 to cap it off. Sehwag bringing up his 50 off 43 balls. Boundaries, sixes, and extras defined the first half of the innings, the run rate going at upwards of 10 and over. But another surprise was just around the corner.
You said poor old Inzamam, what about him?
Rana bowled his full 10 overs on the trot, going for under a runner ball for many of them, although Ganguly and Drought were still piling on the runs. Rana's efforts were rewarded with the wicket of Ganguly and then Yuvraj Singh shortly afterwards. It was 4 for 220 at the end of the 29th over. Pakistan, now getting into India's lower middle order, had a chance to stem the bleeding. But Rahul Dravid and Mohammad Kaif kept the runs flowing. They reached 300 in the 43rd over and primed India for a big score. Dravid was denied a great century by an awesome slower ball from Akhtar that he edged onto his stumps. 2 more wickets and 11 runs were added before the 50 overs was up, finishing with 7 for 349. At the time, it was the largest ODI score India had ever scored against Pakistan and put India in the driver's seat away from home.
Big, tremendous batting by most of their frontline batsmen, and in the end, just 1 run away from 250.
Set with 350 runs to win, there was no explosion of runs like we saw with India, as India's bowling was tight and accurate. That didn't stop some exquisite shots from being played though. Pakistan's openers would be out in successive overs to Lakshmipati Balaji and Zahir Khan.
Carrying just enough for Rahul Dravid to take a low catch.
At 2 for 34, it was up to Pakistani Titans Inzamam-ul-Haq and Yusuf Yahana to push the innings on. And push they did. It wasn't without luck with this chance here, but their partnership had everything. Timing, power, elegance. Both of them bringing up their 50s. Although they weren't on top of their required run rate, they were keeping in touch. As Sehwag and Tendulkar came on to bowl, Yusuf went after them, sadly ending his innings in the process.
Hasn't got the height and is taken. Long off takes the catch. Virendra Sehwag has broken through.
Inzamam-ul-Haq holds the record for the most 50s by a Pakistani player in ODI history. But today, he would need to turn that into a century, and he would have another titan of Pakistani cricket to help him push on, Yunus Khan. Here, Inzamam shows how easy he made batting look when he's in form, as his timing sends balls to the boundary like a rocket, along the ground or in the air, scoring his century with Pakistan 3 for 247. Needing around 133 runs off the last 70 odd balls to win. The runs keep coming and Pakistani fans begin to rise. They might still have a chance to win this thing. Inzamam swatting balls away like flies to the boundary. But at long last, a ball is finally mistimed. Inzamam caught behind off Murali Kartik to end a sensational innings, with Pakistan still in the hunt. Pakistan keeps going, only for Yunus to miss a full toss, ending his innings as well. Like a heavyweight boxing match, each punch is countered by another, as they go blow for blow. A dismissal is countered with more big hitting, only to be countered by another dismissal, this time Abdul Razak. The pressure is getting to everyone. Pakistan begins to take more risks between the wickets, but India is unable to capitalise. The game is heading to a nail-biting finish. With 10 needed off 8, a ball is chipped down the ground and a wonderful, courageous catch is taken. 2 men, with eyes only for the ball, risk everything to get a wicket, to bring Pakistan 7 down. At last, we're in the final over. 9 needed off 6, but Ashish Nehra would close the door. With a wicket in the final delivery of this match, India wins a classic by 5 runs and takes a 1-0 lead in the series.
And what a fantastic game of cricket we've just witnessed.
The 693 runs scored between the two teams is the highest match aggregate involving India and Pakistan in ODI history, to this day. But this is only the first ODI. The next game 3 days later in Rawalpindi would be just as epic. And for one Indian batter, there would be a particularly masterful display. In Rawalpindi, both teams would call in reinforcements. Pakistan would bring in Shabir Ahmed for Rana Naveed and welcome the return of Shahid Afridi to the batting order, batting at 2. India made similar changes. Ramesh Pawar for Murali Kartik and VVS Lakshman for Hemang Badani. Now, the mercurial Shahid Afridi was known to have an off day or two with the bat, but in this second ODI, he quickly showed why, to some people, he's simply known as Boom Boom. Pakistan won the toss and batted first. Shahid, partnered with Yasir Hamid, would quickly impose their will on proceedings. There was no slow or reserved start like we saw in the first ODI. It was attack from the first over. Balaji, Zahir Khan and Ashish Nehra all getting the same treatment. Boom Boom would get to 50 off 36 balls with 5 fours and 2 sixes, and he kept hitting. As Pakistan reached 100 for no loss in 13 overs, Indian captain Sourav Ganguly brought on Sehwag to give Afridi a different look, only for him to get hit for 2 sixes in the first over. Ultimately, in a trademark whirlwind innings, Shahid was dismissed by another spin option, Yuvraj Singh, for 80 runs, ending with 10 fours and 4 sixes. Pakistan, nevertheless, off to a flyer. Working quietly, almost behind the scenes, Yasir Hamid was creating a great innings of his own. In the next over, he reached his 50 off 55 balls. Yusuf Yahana would make a handy 22 before getting out to a nothing shot off Yuvraj. Spin was being used from both ends to try and bring down the run rate, although it was having mixed results. It was ultimately Pakistan themselves that would create the next wicket.
Oh, there's trouble here. There's a run out on here. Yeah. Oh, dear, 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 dear. Inzamam wanted the run. Hamid didn't. Hamid lost.
Now, I know Inzamam gets a lot of flack for his runouts, but at least for this one, I'll defend him. He was running to the danger end after all, and the ball went behind the batter. He called the run, and it was his call. None of this made it any better for Pakistan though, stumbling somewhat after a fast start at 3 for 234 in the 36th over, pushing for a total no doubt far beyond 300 runs. As Sachin supported from the other end, Ashish Nehra would set Pakistan back even further, getting Inzamam and Moin Khan out in his next 2 overs, followed by the huge wicket of Yunus Khan. With 4 overs to go, Abdul Razak and Shoaib Malik would combine for a flurry of late innings runs, pushing Pakistan over 300 and to a total of 329 after 50. In what seemed like a growing trend of this series, this score became the largest score in ODI history at Rawalpindi at the time. That shows the huge task that laid before India to go 2-0 up in this series.
And that's a world record score. For a successful chase, they have to create a world record. This series just never ceases to amaze.
With that being the case, what a partnership to have at the crease. Shoaib Akhtar flying into bowl, hitting speeds of around 150 kilometers an hour, Tendulkar and Sehwag using his pace against him, with gloriously timed shots to the boundary. It was the start that India needed to give themselves a chance against this big total. But at his home, the Rawalpindi Express would come back with a vengeance.
6. Full limb, quick one from Shoaib Akhtar.
1 became 2 as VVS Lakshman was pinned in front by Mohammad Sami. If not for a drop chance, India would have been in even bigger trouble. Ganguly supports Tendulkar towards another 50 as they try to rebuild the innings. Spin taking a leading role in the middle overs, with one Pakistani superstar getting the breakthrough.
That's the off spin and taken by Moin Khan. Great delivery from Shoaib Afridi.
Each Indian wicket that fell would put more pressure on Sachin's shoulders. It became more clearer that Sachin would need to be the guy to take India over the line in this game. Partnered with Rahul Dravid, the two would combine to increase their run rate above what was required. Run after run, the target was getting ever closer. With 20 overs to go and 150 roughly needed to win, Sachin Tendulkar would reach triple figures to keep India in the match.
First Indian batsman to make the one-day international 100 in Pakistan.
As Pakistan's total came nearer, the crowd became noticeably quieter, every boundary making things even more unnerving for Pakistani fans. Another twist would spring them back into life. A young Shoaib Malik would get Sachin to hit into the deep, into the waiting hands of Abdul Razak. Pakistan had finally dismissed Sachin, scoring a masterful 141 off 135. Dravid would be out shortly afterwards. Afridi along with Akhtar would dismiss 3 batters within 2 overs. At 8 wickets down, there was a late scare for Pakistan as Ramesh Pawar and Lakshmipati Balaji scored nearly 30 runs in the 47th and 48th overs. But ultimately, it wasn't enough for the win. Pakistan dismissing the final 2 Indian wickets and drawing the series 1-1, winning by 12 runs. Another awesome game of cricket.
So Pakistan have made it 1-1, and we couldn't have had 2 better matches. These 2 teams have shown that they're great warriors and they're pretty evenly matched.
India's tour would move to the capital of Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, Peshawar. Pakistan decided to put India into bat and try to make best use of the spiciest pitch of the series so far. The first chance of the game came in the first over, with the Sehwag edge flying through Inzamam's hands at slip. Shabir Ahmed breaking the partnership in the next over. Sachin Tendulkar was gone for a duck. Sehwag manages to get some boundaries away as India survives another chance, only for Sehwag to be Shamir Ahmed's next victim. A mixture of the pitch conditions and Pakistan's bowling was putting India under serious threat, which could have been worse had they held on to their chances. This one here was the hardest of the 3, especially off Akhtar. The best way to put them behind you is this.
Bowling right through the gate! What a delivery!
India 3 down and under a threat of a bigger collapse. Saurav Ganguly and Rahul Dravid partnered in the middle as the opening bowlers get swapped out, and they start to put some shots together. From 3 for 37 off 8, they get to 3 for 96 after 20. The partnership finally broken by Abdul Razak after India get past 100. It was clear that Pakistan's bowling plans centred on targeting either the stumps or 4th stump line outside off, playing with the lengths of the deliveries to induce the drive and get some help off the pitch. It's an effective strategy, even when used by a spinner. Of all of India's batters, it was Yuvraj Singh who handled Pakistan the best, as India's lower order came in, hitting a few boundaries before falling victim themselves. The strategy would work time and time again. By the 45th over, India hadn't reached 200 yet. Yuvraj partnered with Lakshmipati Balaji in the final overs to get India's total to 244, with Balaji hitting shots like he's an opener. Yuvraj was the final wicket of the innings for 65. India finished with 9 for 244 after 50. It didn't look like a great total, but Pakistan had shown the blueprint for getting wickets on this deck. Earlier in the video, we spoke about how one should never discount Pakistan from being able to uncover new talent. Time and time again throughout history, when Pakistan's legends have left the national team, they've found someone to fill the void, at least temporarily. Today at Peshawar, the massive hole left by Saeed Anwar at the top of the order had been filled by Yasir Hamid. This was Indian Irfan Pathan's first game of the series, and Shahid Afridi would feel the difference that he could bring. Yusuf Yahana next out for 2. Hamid and Yunus Khan would both get boundaries off Pathan until Yunus gets out to the unluckiest type of run out in cricket.
Well, it's beautifully struck now. The bowler's saying that he touched it, and the umpire agrees with him.
3 became 4 when Shoaib Malik was out for 2. Yasir Hamid becomes the calm presence in the storm, hitting boundaries off all of India's bowlers, getting to 50 off 56 balls. Pakistan was on par with the required run rate of just under 5 and over. Some of these shots from Hamid, just look at them. Beautiful.
That's 4 more. Exquisite timing. Oh, beautiful placement. Gave mid-on no chance at all. Oh, he's got that one fine. That's very delicate.
Inzamam, not one to miss out either, hits this 6 down the ground. The partnership would be broken by Tendulkar not long after that 6. Inzamam-ul-Haq out on 28 with Pakistan needing under 90 to win. Hamid deserved a century for the way he played today, but it wasn't meant to be. Irfan Pathan getting him to hit 1 to Yuvraj Singh, out for 98. Pakistan 6 for 173, needing 72 off 92. It wasn't all as beautiful as Hamid's cover drive, but Abdul Razak and Moin Khan combined to bring Pakistan home. Razak scoring a half century and Pakistan winning the 3rd ODI by 4 wickets. Pakistan taking the lead 2-1 in this series. They only need one more win to take the series, and India was firmly on the back foot. But this heavyweight contest was moving into the championship rounds, both teams still in it, hoping to find a knockout blow. The final 2 matches of this series were to be played in Lahore. The first of these would see inzamam-ul-haq send India into the field. Irfan Pathan's tight bowling line and ability to swing the ball tests Afridi's ability to hit through the offside, a test he wouldn't pass today. Hamid gets Pakistan's innings away again. What a shot! Irfan Pathan's influence in this series was growing game by game. A succession of balls outside off tempts Yusuf Yahana into planting his front foot, only to bowl this one straighter, swinging in to smash his front pad out LBW. Yusuf's poor form in the series continued. Yasir Hamid was the next to go. There was no milestone today as Murali Kartik pulls him down the ground for an easy stumping. Pakistan 3 for 89. Pakistan's middle order would have to carry them today. Inzamam front and centre. Pakistan's captain had an air of arrogance to his play today, quickly reaching his 50 with punishing shots like this one. Any poor ball was swatted to the boundary with belligerence. Yunus Khan was unable to stay with him, caught in the deep for 36. Inzamam's swashbuckling century was reached with the deft opening of the bat, flashing its face to the offside.
Tremendous innings from inzamam-ul-haq.
For me, this innings shows the contrast, dare I say enigma, of inzamam-ul-haq. On one hand, a man with every shot in the toolbox, from deft flick through a gap to smashing 4s and 6s, hitting either as though it's just another practice session, even against India, but a man equally capable of getting out like this.
Bowled him.
Out for 123 off 121, with 9 4s and 4 6s. Inzamam had scored nearly half of Pakistan's total on his own, but lacking similar support from his teammates, one that ends at least 30 runs short. Abdul Razak and Shoaib Malik were able to put 20 more runs on the board with less than 5 more overs to go. 3 more wickets in that time result in Pakistan finishing short of 300 after 50 overs, setting India 294 to win. Pakistan had shown that batting conditions were pretty good here at Lahore, and things started off well for India. Akhtar's first ball going to the boundary for 5 wides.
And the bounce is there, all right. Well, that one really took off.
They would race to none for 34 in the first 4 overs, before Akhtar got his eye in. It should have been 2 down in 2 overs, but it was a no ball. 15 extras had already been conceded by Pakistan. The next ball gracefully punched through the covers for 4. Lakshman's innings wouldn't last much longer. India 2 for 69 and having similar issues to Pakistan at the top of the order. Mohammad Sami getting Sehwag in the slips with the last ball of the 10th over. This has turned into a pivotal situation. India's hopes rested on their middle order right here, right now, and these next 30 overs.
Gone. Saurav Ganguly is walking back. Abdul Razak has struck.
The Indian captain gone. 4 of India's greatest ever batters dismissed. If you think that a collapse is coming and it's all just slipping away, I don't blame you. That's what wickets in succession do. But looking at it from the other side, it's situations like this that set certain players apart from the rest. Even in a cauldron like this, the focus must always remain on the target. And how do we reach it? Okay, Sehwag, Tendulkar, Lakshman and Ganguly are all gone, but there's still 6 wickets in hand. India need 200 off 222 balls. It's less than a run a ball. That's what they need to achieve every over. It's with this laser-like focus on the run rate that Rahul Dravid and the rest of the Indian team wrest back control of this run chase. It starts with boundaries, not risky boundaries, ones that stay on the ground and hit gaps. Their scoring starts to bring down the required run rate, now at 5. Yuvraj gets out to a sharp catch by Yusuf, but Dravid's focus keeps them on track, bringing up a half century of 59 balls. They're in the driver's seat now, and Pakistan start to feel the pressure. They need wickets, and fast. But more runs is all that comes. Mohammad Kaif partners with Dravid, and Kaif is now the one who is attacking, getting to his 50 off 57 balls. In the end, India gets to the total in a canter. With 5 overs to spare, Kaif hits the winning runs as Dravid orchestrates a textbook run chase under pressure. India and Pakistan, once again, all tied up at 2-2.
That's it. What a splendid victory for India. It levels the series, and already the prospect of Wednesday night here at the Gaddafi Stadium is one to savour. Well played, Rahul Dravid.
Wow, what a series this has been. Both teams duking it out, each landing punches, and yet they still find themselves even with one match to go. It's winner takes all in Lahore. Would this be the site of India's greatest one-day achievement in Pakistan, or would it be another case of so close but yet so far? Inzamam wins the toss and sends India into bat. That's now 5 winning coin tosses in the series, a clean sweep. Rawalpindi opens the bowling for the last time in the series, and Sehwag pounces on his first boundary of the day. Despite conceding boundaries in all but one of the first 5 overs, Pakistan would break the opening partnership early on.
Outside edge.
Shabir Ahmed dismissing Sehwag for 20. The Indians had to keep building the score, this ball being smashed to the boundary with aplomb because Pakistan's bowling attack was still lethal. Sachin nicking one through to the keeper. It's 2 for 79. The man to stand up on this massive occasion was India's number 3, VVS Lakshman. He came into the series late and hadn't really shown his best form so far, but his graceful stroke making and hand-eye coordination was starting to reveal itself as the innings wore on. He and Sourav Ganguly helped India past 100, with Inzamam having to take off his strike bowlers. The boundaries started to increase. Gaps in the field were being amplified by the sweet timing on the ball. Lakshman races to 50 and gets a lifeline shortly thereafter in the deep. The fielder seemingly overrunning the ball, completely missing it in the process. Pakistan's captain standing there perplexed. Rawalpindi would dismiss Ganguly before his 50, but the drop chance would hurt Pakistan over the rest of the innings. Lakshman's batting kept the total moving forward, with an easy punch to the boundary fielder, bringing up his first century of the series, and what an important century it was.
Tremendous 100.
His innings would come to an end in the 46th over. Out for 170, India passed 250 with 4 overs to go. In a furious final few overs, India's lower order had clear instructions to swing and run hard. Mohammad Kaif draws the eye of Rawalpindi as he starts to advance down the crease as he's about to bowl. Gee, he's a braver man than me. Pakistan misses 2 chances, one dropped and another chalked off as a no ball. Lakshmipati Balaji's bat, an unlucky casualty in the pursuit of more runs. India finished with 7 for 293 after 50. That's the exact same total that Pakistan scored in the 4th ODI. On this night, Pakistan had a new opening pair. Shahid Afridi had been omitted from the side, and I couldn't find out why. It could have been an injury, but it's also equally possible that he was dropped. Pakistan selectors back then were known to make very quick changes if a player didn't perform, even after only a couple of games. Maybe you know, and you can let me know in the comments. Whatever it was, this opening partnership didn't bear much fruit. Yasir Hamid, one of Pakistan's standout performers, was gone within 2 overs, Lakshmipati Balaji sending his wicket flying out of the ground. Irfan Pathan would have Yusuf Yahana once again to the exact same type of delivery as before, getting him forward and smashing his front pad with an in-swinger. Tawfiq Umar, Shahid's replacement, smashed a few balls to the boundary and looked quite lively. But he had a tendency to walk across his stumps and expose them in the process, which is the exact way Irfan Pathan bowled him.
Bowled him out, knocked the leg stump down. Tawfiq getting far too far across.
Irfan had become such a vital part of India's attack for this series, really stunting Pakistan's ability to get a strong opening partnership going, not to mention to kill the effectiveness of Yusuf Yahana, one of Pakistan's great batters. Captain inzamam-ul-haq found himself in another similar situation, having to rebuild their innings and lead the chase for this total. Yunus Khan was dismissed cheaply again, capping off a disappointing series. Inzamam stepped up his attack, and he might have helped Pakistan chase this total down on this occasion, if not for this.
Down the wicket, over the top, but out, not all the way over the top. Tendulkar, the man on the long on boundary. They might look to see whether there was a foot somewhere near the rope, but Sachin Tendulkar knows what a vital, vital wicket that is.
Sachin Tendulkar with a great overhead catch on the boundary. The Indians knew just how big a wicket this was. Abdul Razak followed shortly afterwards. Pakistan's series hopes were on a knife edge. With 4 wickets down, the problem wasn't just the wickets in hand, but the run rate too. The required was just around 8 and over, and yet Pakistan were only able to muster nearly 4 and over. It meant that Pakistan not only had to be mindful of wickets in hand, but they had to attack. However, India's bowling and fielding was stopping the batting onslaught that Pakistan needed. Shoaib Malik and Moin Khan put on the biggest partnership of Pakistan's innings, but it wasn't scored fast enough. The run rate went from 8 and over to 10 and over by the time Malik was dismissed, scoring 65 off 89. The urgency increased after that wicket for Pakistan, only for the risky shots to result in more wickets. Mohammad Sami and Shoaib Akhtar both gone in 3 balls. Pakistan's last wicket, Moin Khan, dismissed in the last ball of the 48th over. Pakistan all out for 253 and India winning by 40 runs.
That's it. It's all over. Moin Khan did his best. Balaji finishes it off for India, and the Indians are absolutely ecstatic, and as they should be.
India had finally done it. They had beaten Pakistan, their biggest rival, in Pakistan, 3-2. A milestone that would live on in cricket history forever. A key stepping stone towards the Indian team that we see today. This team's quest to be the first ever Indian team to win an ODI series in Pakistan was complete. The drought was over. But this isn't where the story ends. Although the ODIs were completed, there was still one more mountain to overcome, one more quest to finish. And for India, after failing on 5 earlier occasions, this might be the best chance they would ever have to finally complete it. It's time for some test match cricket. Hey guys, cheers for sticking with me to the end. If you like it, please leave a thumbs up or even a comment below, and consider subscribing if you're new. I'm really trying to scour the world and bring you stories from all parts of it, so I really do appreciate the support. I will be making a part 2 of this series, so if it's completed already, it'll be here on screen. If not, here's another story I think you'd also like. Until we see each other again, take care, and I'll see you soon.